Welcome to a video review from theplayersaid.com. My name is Grant. Today, I actually, just prior to this video review, I did a full solo playthrough of this game. Now I'm sharing my videos or thoughts about the game on this video. The game is called, you can see here, Archie's War, The Battle for Guadalcanal. Archie Vandergrift was a commander on Guadalcanal, was in charge of the defense of Henderson Airfield during World War II. The Japanese wanted badly to take over Henderson Airfield, kick the Marines off of Guadalcanal so that they could have control of the Solomon Islands and that part of the Pacific. It was one of those strategic areas. Lots of big battles fought here, lots of death over a very small island. This is a pretty interesting little game. This is the solo version. So you can see here on the board, it says solitaire. This is designed as a two-player game, and on the back here, I've got pieces all over it. On the back of the board is the two-player game. The map looks just slightly different. There's some different boxes. And it uses the two-player game uses a bit more cat and mouse. You'll notice the units that they use are on these blocks. They are single-sided, so you stand them up, face those towards your enemy, and he doesn't know if that's a 1, 2, 3, or 6. He doesn't know what the value of that is, that block. The blocks range from the American blocks are, looks like there's only ones. I thought there were twos. There's 1s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. The Japanese blocks are 1, 2, 3. I think they have a couple of 4s, but not a whole lot. But in that two-player game, the values are hidden, so it makes for a different experience. Here, playing solo, I'm not hiding anything from myself. You can see the blocks are all splayed out so that I can see what values are on what. So first off, let me talk to you about what the game is about. It's a very, very simple game. Up here in the left corner, and it's very faint, you're not going to be able to read that. Let me actually turn to the rule book. Rule book is very good. It's got all the rules you need right here. Basically, it's 2.5 pages of rules. So here is the solitaire sequence of play. There are 5 steps, very, very simple. The American, who is the player, you always play as the Americans, you're going to choose 1 American action. Then you're going to roll for 1 Japanese action. I'll show you those charts here in just a moment. Once you roll, you're then going to execute and carry out that Japanese action. Then remember, you chose your American action as the first step, but you didn't get to take it. In step 4, you get to take and execute or carry out that American action. Then during turn 5, it's the end phase. The American player gets to receive reinforcements, and that's based on spaces specifically on the turn track. I'll show you that in a minute. But you also may rearrange the strength values around the island. So that's the 5 steps of the phase of sequence of play. Sorry, I can't talk today. I don't know what's going on. But there are those 5 steps. Now, on the right side here, you have 2 charts, for lack of a better word. The top part is the American actions. You can see there are 6 spaces. As the American, you've got these yellow cubes. And you're going to, as part of that step 1 phase, American player chooses action. You're going to choose one of these 6 actions. The 6 actions are raid Point Cruz. Point Cruz is over here on the west side of the island. Raid Coley Point, there on the east side. Raid the Jungle, which is where the Japanese reserves are at Bloody Ridge. Patrol, you're patrolling the areas of the jungle where Japanese are infiltrating your lines. And you can see there's a box there. Here, there's a couple Japanese infiltration value. You're going to try to eliminate those. Repair Henderson Field is trying to get the air support level on Henderson Field up as high as you can Why is that important? Well, you're going to lose the game if you're ever at 0 at the end of your turn. But you'll notice these plane silhouettes. These two boxes, the 1s, have just 1 plane. The 0s have none. These 2 boxes have 2 planes in them. Then there are 2 boxes with 3s that have 3 plane, 2 boxes with 4s that have 4 planes. Those values are going to assist you in protecting from air raids, but also assist you in your defensive strength as the Japanese are attacking you. So that's why you want to get that up. But once again, you'll lose the game if you get it down to 0. So you always want to make sure it's up a couple spaces because you get a benefit from that and you're not going to lose the game. That can go very badly for you very quickly. So you got to keep that up. Number 6 on the American actions is appeal to the Navy for help. You're going to basically roll a 6-sided die. I rolled a 6. You're going to go down to the American events. On the 6, it says artillery. I'm going to move the Archie Vandergrift counter from its place in the +2 box to its place in the +3 box. That's going to give me assistance in the American defensive strength. That's a very big benefit, and you want to get that as soon as you can. Obviously, you can't choose to get it. It's a roll, but you can get it. Now, once you get that, you're going to move that box, and any roll of a 6 then becomes no value, which that's kind of a bummer. But the different events here, you've got high command rejects. If you roll a 1, nothing happens. If you roll a 2, there's going to be airstrikes against enemy positions of your choice. So you're going to say, I'm going to airstrike Point Cruz, and you're then going to roll. No, you're not going to roll. You're just going to reduce. You're going to literally just reduce one of these strength points there automatically. That's very beneficial. Reinforcements just gives you another Marine strength to put out at any location that you want. That's the only other way you're going to get reinforcements other than the end of turn 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. So basically every 3 turns, you're going to get a new Marine unit that you're going to put out. And that's denoted here by the globe and anchor insignia. So that means you're going to get 5 full steps that you can throw out on the board at any places. Plus, you might get this once or twice a game. CBs, all airfield repair rolls are now successful on a 1 to 4. Normally, when you try to repair Henderson Field, it's on a 1 to 3. So when you roll number 4 CBs, you get to put a marker in this box, which reminds you, I now succeed on a 1 to 4 versus a 1 to 3. It also gives you an automatic attempt to go ahead at a 1 to 4 to, well, that's ridiculous, to repair that airfield. You're trying to roll low. I repaired the airfield. I would move the box up. Yay for us. If you roll a 5, aviation fuel and aircraft arrives at Henderson Field. Improve the Henderson Field box by moving the marker 1 to the right. So that's an auto improvement. That's always a good thing. So you can see calling the appeal for the Navy's help is very important to the game. Now let's move over here. I'll readjust. And I apologize, I've got Stalingrad Advance to the Volga from Revolution Games set up over here. I played that once or twice. I've kind of got double duty here going on my table. Step 2 of that phase or sequence of play is always roll for the Japanese action. So you're going to roll a D6. You're going to refer to any of these 1 through 6. If you roll a 1, Point Cruz is going to attack. Now what happens is, you'll notice there's 5 points there. I roll a 6-sider. If it's equal to or less than their strength points, they're going to attack. And then they use and you can see right here, I think you can read those, Japanese attack strength at Point Cruz, which is here, and Coley Point, which is over there. You take the front strength, you add up all the value of the strength points here. That's a 5. You then have a bonsai table. You see a bonsai table here. You're going to roll a D6. You rolled a 2. That equates to a +1. So 5 + 1 is a 6. Half reserve strengths rounded down. The Japanese reserve boxes here at Bloody Ridge, they have 1 strength point now. Rounded down is 0. I'm sorry, it's 1. You don't round down 1. So 5, 6, that's a 7. And then the number of strength points in this infiltration box. So they would be a 9 right now. That's pretty bad for the Americans because it's really hard to overcome that. But if you tie, the Americans force an attrition on the strength points of the Japanese. So the American defense value, which is written right here, is their front strength. So in this case, you have 3 points there. Air support, which at this point is a +2 in that 2 box. So 3 + 2 is a 5. 1/2 reserve strength rounded down. So 1/2 of 2 rounded down is a 1. So that's 1. Actually, a 1/2 rounded down is a 0. So they're at like a 8. What did I say, an 8 or a 9? So anyway, Americans, they've got 3 points there, +2 for air support, that's 5, +1 for reserves is 6. Plus, Vandergrift is in the +3 box because you saw earlier we rolled the artillery result on an American event. So that makes the Americans 9 to their 8. The Americans repel the attack and force them to take 1 loss. So number 1, that's going to happen here at Point Cruz. On a 2, that's going to happen over here at Coley Point. On a 3, Bloody Ridge is going to attack. Their formula is a little bit different, though. It's written here as a second formula. It's, I'm sorry, this part of it's different, and then the formula is a little different, too. They're going to roll a d6. -2 has to be equal to or less than the value here. I rolled a 6, -2 is a 4. That's not less than, so they don't attack. If they don't attack, add 2 strength values. So you're going to add 2 strength values, so they're getting more powerful. And they get a free pot shot at Henderson Field needing a 1 to hit. Rolled a 3, they miss. That's going to happen every time that they can't attack. So 1, 2, and 3, I feel like are the most of the actions that are going to happen. And you got to really be aggressive about it and try to keep these numbers down. You want these numbers to be 1 to 3 at the highest. Right now, that's a 3, 4, and a 4. I've got some work to do and need to really try to get those down. All right, on a 4, you're going to add an infiltrate strength point to this box. The only way that that is countered is by the patrol action by the Americans. If the Americans chose that patrol action and then a 4 is resulting from this Japanese action roll, they don't get to put that point there. If they didn't choose it and that was just an American action, you're basically going to get to just patrol there and take one of those strength points away, thereby reducing their strength value there. Number 5 is an air raid. They roll a d6 and add whatever value comes from the Henderson Field air support, which currently is a 2. If it's a 1 to 4, they damage the airfield. So we're going to roll a 6. Sided die, I rolled a 6, +2 is an 8. Nothing happens. But if I'd rolled a 1 or a 2, they would hit the airfield and I would reduce that value back. That's how you're going to end up being killed. If you're low, they're going to get you back to 0, but that's why you've got to keep that going to the right. On a 6, very similar to the Americans, 6th action, you get to roll a random event. So you roll a 6-sider, you then refer to these. Naval bombardment, using the damage table, the Japanese are going to, that's the damage table here. They're going to roll a die, hit Henderson Field based on the number of attacks there. So, well, I rolled the die. Let's watch it spin for a minute. They rolled a 5. That's going to reduce Henderson Field by 2 boxes, which is the highest result. If a 1 is ever, interestingly enough, if a 1 is ever rolled on that naval bombardment, Vandergrift gets removed. I've had that happen once or twice, and that's probably one of the reasons that I lost. Number 2 is a Japanese naval victory. They're going to add 3 strength value to their reserve, which is right here. That can be very bad. In addition to that, they're going to perform an air raid action on the air support or the Henderson Field. Attrition, you're going to eliminate an American strength value at any location of my choice. Heavy artillery, you're going to perform a bombardment that hits on a 1 to 2. Remember, most of the other bombardments only hit on a 1. They're also now, let me get another cube. They're going to place this marker here and now reminding you all bombardments hit on a 1 or 2. That can make a huge difference. Number 5 is a failed raid. Roll a die on the damage table and reduce that mini Marine strength value from any one location of my choice. So I get the choice, so, I'm going to roll on this table and then reduce myself. On number 6, attack. The Japanese automatically attack on whichever front they have the most points on. If there's a tie, I get to choose. So if that happened now, it would be either an attack from Point Cruz or Coley Point. I would want to do Point Cruz because I have 1 extra guy there than I do over at Coley Point. So those are the actions. I've went over both the American actions, the American events, the Japanese events, and the Japanese actions and the Japanese events. So you can see this game is very simple. This is not a brain burner. It's not a very long game. Once you get the rules down, you can play this game in about 20 to 30 minutes. I move fairly quickly. I know what I'm doing, and the rounds just seem to move along. The game goes very quickly. It does have 18 turns. The Americans have to survive through the 18th turn in order to win. So how do you lose? All right, well, losing the Japanese through air raids or bombardments will reduce Henderson Field down to the final 0 box at the end of an American turn. So if that ever happens, you automatically lose. They bombed the airfield. You can't do anything about it. It's wasted. And the Japanese can kind of do what they want there on Guadalcanal. The other way that you're going to lose is through attrition, combat, different things happening. If an attack is ever perpetrated on a box that has no guys in it, you automatically lose. That's happened to me one time. I got a little sloppy. I didn't have many reserves here. Over a 2 or 3 round period, they killed a couple of my guys. I was too focused on repairing the airfield because the airfield was near 0 when I should have been putting a guy or even just moving 1 guy over for reserves. The very important thing, and probably the biggest decision point in this game for the American player, is at the end of each single round, they have the option of rearranging all of the strength points on the board. So if I feel weak in a certain area, if I feel really weak here on Point Cruz, I can move a strength point from the Marines here at Bloody Ridge. I can also move a reserve over to protect myself. I can move a reserve there. What ends up happening, I have found, is sometimes you'll find yourself with a box that has no Japanese in it, right? And the others might have a couple. I have found that I'll move my guys into reserve because there's nobody there. They're not going to attack, because what's going to happen, they're going to come in, they're going to pick Bloody Ridge number 3 or roll it. There's nobody there, so no attack is going to happen. Then 2 units will be put on there. You have at least a round or 2 to then move guys in. But that to me is the most important part of knowing when you want to move your guys around. Also, I have found you need to be aggressive in this. Repair the airfield. Once you get the airfield up to, I would say, the second 1 box or the first number 2 box, I wouldn't worry about it for a while. You have got to raid Point Cruz, raid Coley Point, raid Bloody Ridge. You've got to keep those numbers down. And then whenever they get infiltration value in these boxes, you've got to do patrol to eliminate those. These benefit every attack, so those are important to get gone. But also keeping these low, down to 2 or 3, really give you a pretty big advantage, especially if Vandergrift is at +3. I also feel like your two most important actions are appeal to the Navy, because any of these actions aside from a number 1 are very beneficial from you or for you, from improving the airfield to adding a reinforcement point to increasing Vandergrift to his +3 level, making it easier for you to repair Henderson Field in the future, automatically moving this box up, doing an airstrike and eliminating a Japanese SV. Those are very important. And they're guaranteed, right? When you roll on this damage table, it's never guaranteed what you're going to get. You can roll a 1 and get no results sometimes on doing raids or patrol. So you need to remember that. I feel like your number 1 action is appeal to the Navy, followed closely by patrol, to either stop infiltration from going in here or eliminate one. Very important. So this is a simple game. You're not going to play this 1,000 times and finally understand how to beat it. The game that I shot before doing this review was my 7th play. I'm now 4-3. I feel like I've got the swing of things. I think I understand how and when I need to act and where I need to act. It's just a matter of getting the dice rolls and a little bit of luck here and there from them not doing something. But what are this game's strengths? I think it's fun. It's interesting. I think it's unique. I haven't seen a lot of games like this. Worthington puts out a lot of little solo games, and a lot of them are kind of dice fest like this, but that's okay. Not every game needs to be a deep, burn for your brain. I think this is a simple game. I'm excited about this game because I want to try the 2-player version. The other thing I would say about this game, the components are just excellent. They have these pre-molded component trays, so you can put all your blocks, your markers, your dice, etc. in this tray. It also has a very cool plastic top that's going to mostly keep your things inside. You're going to put the heavy board and the rule books on top of it. But that's a unique thing that Worthington does. I like their production. This is a mounted map board. They give you a big, chunky, 6-sided dice, although I am not a fan of these rounded die. They end up spinning and spinning, and I just hate that. But nice counters. And they're in the form of stickers. They give you an entire sheet of replacement stickers. Very nice, chunky blocks. I think the map is functional yet attractive. And I just think it's a unique situation in a battle that most of us know a lot about. So anyway, those are my thoughts here on Archie's War, the Battle for Guadalcanal Solitaire variant. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts. I'd recommend you give this game a try. I think it's interesting. So that's what I would say for you. I hope you enjoy the game, and let me know what you think once you do finally play it. So I've been Grant for the Player's Aid.